and this is my podcast, You Against You podcast. And so this is the second episode of season 2. So this was actually supposed to be out today, July 4th, but I'm actually going to post it on July 7th because I just didn't feel like posting something on a holiday, you know, cookout, fireworks, all of that. So we're recording on the day I'm supposed to post, but you know, I'm still getting this out to y'all before this week ends. But let's just get on to today's episode. So what is today's episode about? So today's episode, I'm like getting my notes, so if you're like watching this on YouTube, I'm literally trying to get my notes out. But today's episode is going to be about not being happy in a relationship. So the reason why I want to talk about this in this season, which is all about healing girl era, is because I feel like for the people who want to be in their healing girl era right now, but they can't because they are in a toxic relationship. And to be honest, I feel like a lot of women out there do enter their healing girl era after they get out a toxic relationship. I know I did, and to be honest, I've been out of a toxic relationship almost 2 years now, and I'm going to talk about that in this episode. I'm also going to talk about in a couple of future episodes about should you be in a relationship in your healing girl era. And to be honest, I'm going to talk about a lot of key points in that episode, so stay tuned for that episode because I feel like a lot of people don't know if they should be in a relationship and if they should not be in a relationship during their healing girl era. But this is all about the signs about you, the signs about your partner, and the signs within both of y'all in your toxic relationship. Now, for the ladies that are listening and you are in a toxic relationship, you want to ask yourself 3 questions. Does your partner make you happy? If not, is it because he's not happy or she's not happy with themselves, or they don't make you happy? Another question is, do you see yourself with this person within the next 6 to 12 months? The reason why I say that, because that gives you an outlook on a year or half a year. And 3, are you yourself? Do you see your mood changing while you're with this person? Or did you ever see you be more quiet than outspoken? Or are y'all more affectionate or more passionate? Or do you have intimacy in your relationship? I feel like those 3 questions you should think about while you're listening to this episode. And the reason why I say those 3 questions, because especially that intimacy part and the affection part, if you don't have those 2 qualities in your relationship, that means your relationship is going downhill, and that means a lot of red flags, and you don't want those red flags. So let's just get on to this episode. So I have 3 key points, but I'm going to go deep and really deep down in this episode. I am going to explain each 3 key points, even though it's 3 little key points. They have a lot of big factors to them. So let's just get onto this episode. I don't want to like keep this long, like this intro, so let's just go ahead. So my first key point that I'm going to talk about is, in your relationship, is it 100-100, or is it 50-50, or is it 0 to 100? Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, so 100-100. Your relationship should never want to be 50-50 or 0 to 100. So let me explain what I mean by that. So 100-100 mean, can you be 100% of yourself while you're in this relationship with this person, and can they be 100% of themselves while they're in a relationship with you? If you can and if they can, that means this relationship is going good. But if it's 50-50 or it's 0 to 100 to the point that you are not yourself, but this person is themselves and they totally themselves, plus they asking you to be this type of way or that type of way, and they asking you to change, then that means the relationship is going downhill. So I remember when I was in a relationship with my on and off again ex, it was very toxic. I regret giving him so many chances, but I have learned to not give them, like, to not give people more chances. Like, people say they change, but do you think they can change? I feel like they can, and I have explained that in episode 1, and that's why it took me a while to actually enter my healing girl era, because I was in a relationship with a toxic ass man. He was very controlling. He didn't really give me like princess, like, you know, those type of treatments, but also we didn't really have serious conversations. It was just all about him and him. The world revolves around him, not me, or both of us. We couldn't really negotiate on something without arguing, and he always played the victim. He always got mad over me with the smallest shit ever. It was just the worst relationship ever. Like, I remember crying a lot in this relationship. I remember crying myself to sleep a lot in this relationship. I felt like I was not happy, but I wanted to be happy, and there was ways that he said, no, we're good, I don't know why you said there's a problem. Like, he was very, very manipulative, and I told him that. Like, he knew he was, but it was something after going back and forth with him on and off. I saw who he were, how he was, not were, but I saw how he was, to the point that I was like, I'm sick of this, I'm done with him, and I blocked him on everything, to the point that he even tries to get in contact with me through Cash App by sending me $1. And you know, you can block people from sending you money from Cash App. But I mean, this guy was like so controlling to me, even though we was not talking and not together. It was to the point that every time I see something about him, or saw a picture of him, or saw that he texted me, or just, you know, this and that, it was like, wow, okay. So I was never like really happy in a relationship, and I felt like I was not getting nothing. I wasn't receiving love that I want, but he was, and that's 0 to 100. He was very toxic, and he knew he was, so it was never really like want to fix it. And like I said, when I say I was crying in this relationship, I was crying in this relationship. But how do you know if a relationship is 50-50, 0 to 100, and 100 to 100? So I'm reading off my notes because your girl got bad memory. So you should want to be 100 yourself, 100% yourself. And I heard this in a TikTok. You want to be 100% of yourself in a relationship, and that person should be 100% themselves in a relationship. You shouldn't want to be half of yourself. And I feel like nowadays that's why relationships do not work. It's because when you show who you really are to your partner, and they be like, oh, I don't like that about you, I can't do this, you could do A, B, and C. But when you show like a little glimpse of yourself, like on the first and second date, it's like, oh, I like you. But when you show your full self, they don't like that. And I realized that when I went on a date recently, and after that I felt very comfortable with this guy, but it didn't work. Like, we had a good first date, and I was myself after. Like, I can show him who I really was because I trusted him. Not like put all my trust, but he was gaining my trust to the point I can show him who I really was, and he didn't really like that. So you like 50% of me, but you don't like 100% of me. Yeah, this couldn't work. And when he said that we would never be in a relationship because he is just me acting different, he was also acting different first, to the point that my like gut feeling told me to even block him. And I'm glad I did, because I don't want someone who doesn't want me as a person and my personality then want like half of my personality. Because that human interaction, you're going to see a lot of people's good side, bad side, when they're nervous and all that, and you can't just show the person your good side, and if they don't like your nervous side or your bad side, then they don't really want you, because everyone is not perfect. And I feel like nowadays everyone wants that perfect ass person, and that's why relationships don't work. But yeah, but like I was saying before I said that, when someone slips up, and I got all my notes from like a TikTok or a couple of TikToks to put in my own words, but it's like when someone slips up and that person wants to work it out on a relationship, you should want to work it out without arguments. But nowadays we don't want to work it out, and we just want to argue, and that's why I feel like relationships do not work out. And if you can't deal with the disputes, why should you want to be in a relationship with the person? And if the relationship is not 100, then you should change that, and you should ask yourself, is it you or is it your partner? And if you are putting like 100% you and being your 100% self in a relationship, but your partner is being their 50 or 0 or 5 or 10% of themselves, then you should know, like, yeah, this relationship is not going to work out. I know I'm being myself 100% way, and they're not. And I also feel like that is the reason why a lot of relationships are going downhill and turning toxic. It's because soon they will switch up, and when you find out they're switching up on you, you know that it's not going to work out. And you can like ask your partner, like, are you okay, are you okay? And they'd be like, yeah, I'm okay. But are they really okay? And that's when you'd be like, yeah, no, because you're acting different and stuff. Like, I'm someone who likes to read people. I can read someone. And this could also be for people who are looking into a relationship and you're dating, you going out like on dates before y'all become official. And it's a good thing that when I was on this date with this guy, I noticed something was different, because I asked him like 2 or 3 times if he was okay, and before we cut ties and before I blocked him, because I do block people, because yeah, it's just me. Blocking is a form of therapy to me. But before I blocked him and I asked him that day, are you okay, he was like, well, there's one thing. And I knew in my gut feeling that we're about to cut ties. And to be honest, I knew that for like a week now. And to be honest, I didn't really cry. I didn't really like feel a certain type of way, because I knew I was gonna block him anyways. So yes, knowing that your relationship should be 100 but not 50-50 or 0 to 100. And if your relationship is 50-50 or 0 to 100, then it's not gonna work, because you need to be your 100% yourself and they should be their 100% self. You want to let the person that you're in a relationship with to be their full self. And to be honest, I have not really been in a relationship for almost 2 years, like I said. But I remember in high school, in my, well, I'm still an early adult. I'm about to turn 21 in 2 days. So when this episode goes out, I will actually be 21, because my birthday is Thursday, and like I said, this episode is coming out on July 7th, so the day after my birthday. But I'm just a person who likes to give out relationship advice, because a lot of people ask me, and I like to dissect what their relationship is after they tell me, so I can really give out like good relationships advice, even though I have had failed relationships and I don't want that. So yeah, so the second key point is knowing when to leave this relationship. So if your relationship is going downhill, how would you know when it's time to leave the relationship? Okay, so let me, like I said, I've been in a toxic relationship with my on and off again ex. I'm not with him. I cut all ties from him. But the reason why I think after this last time I was with him, which was like last year, yeah, last year, so it will be 2 years next year actually, so yeah, a year and a half. I knew it was time for me to actually cut all ties from him when he called me a bitch. He called me a bitch, he called me a hoe, he called me a slut, he called me so many names. But it wasn't before, it was actually before that, but it was that there, him disrespecting me when I know that I should never want to be disrespected, something that made me be like, yeah, no, I'm done with him. And he was telling me things after he told me that. He was like, you can't get mad for something that's true. Like, what do you mean what's true? I'm not the one who acts like a bitch and gets mad over small things. Like, he was the bitch, to be honest, in a relationship. I was the mature person, and he was like, he was a grown-ass man, I'll tell you that. He's 25 now, but like he was 24. So he was a grown-ass man. And I remember birthdays, so that's how I know he's 25, and he's 4 years older than me, so yeah. But it was then and there, him calling me out my name, also just begging and begging for money or some other things I'm not going to mention on my podcast, because I really hate that I did that. It was something that made me realize that he didn't really love me like how I loved him. And I think after that relationship, I did raise my standards on what I want in a guy, and not like everything like perfect, but I raised my standards to the point that I know how I want to be treated. And I feel like I'm so lucky that I had 2 examples in my life on what I want in a man and what I don't want in a man. When I was younger, with my sperm donor, like I said, I do not talk to him, but with my sperm donor, I don't want a man like him. How he treated my mom. I remember he pointed a gun at my mom, basically put her through hell while they was married. It was just a lot that I did not want. Like, just from looking back at my childhood, I don't want that in a man. But with my dad, who's my, you know, I'm not gonna say my stepdad, like he's my stepdad, but I saw him as a dad. Yes, him and my mom had disagreements, but it was something like how he treated my mom and how he treated me too, to the point that like I want this in my future partner. And I feel like with women is how your father treats you, or if you have older brothers or even younger brothers, on how they treat you, on how you want to be treated by a guy. Because especially fathers, and I'm not saying like if you have daddy issues, it's not that, it's just how you're treated, because that's the first person whoever is going to treat you right or wrong on how a man should actually treat you, and on how they treat you. So it's like, let me rephrase that, it's how your father treats you is what you expect from a man, because they are a man figure in your life. And if you have older brothers, it's the same way. So even younger brothers who are around the same age as you as well, it's the same way with them. So, or uncles, I remember my uncle treating me right, both my uncles. So it's just the male figure in your life is depending on how you want to be treated by your partner, because that's what you saw growing up, if you get what I'm saying. But I just feel like with having those so many examples, I'm so happy I know what I want in a man and what I don't want in a man. The other thing is, so like I say, knowing when to leave. When my ex called me out my name, he asked me for money. Like he got paid twice a month because he's in the military. I live next to a military base, so that's how yeah, I was in a relationship with a guy in the military, but he got paid twice a month. He, you know, he had money, but he just asked for money, and I was like, why not just ask your mom? Why not just ask your sister or a friend? Why you gonna ask me? Because I don't, you know, I don't have money, and I don't like giving money away unless it's to family. But to anyone else, I don't like giving money away. I hate when people ask me for money, and I hate asking people for money. So it's like, I just don't. But if you do not feel like yourself when you're around your partner, and you notice, like I said, if you notice a slightly change in yourself, and you are becoming more depressed in a way, more emotional, to the point that you crying yourself asleep, please leave the relationship. But you're going to feel a lot of ways before you will leave this person. So the first way you're going to feel is you can feel guilty. You can start feeling guilty because you're thinking, when I leave this person, I'm going to feel sad. I was happy with him at first, but now I'm gonna leave him, and I know he's gonna hate that, and you're gonna feel this guilt that's going to hold you. It's gonna be on you, it's gonna be on your head, it's gonna like be a burden to you. And I feel like if you're gonna feel guilty after you leave in a toxic relationship, it's going to take you some time to lift that burden up, because you cannot have that burden still if you're waiting to be in the next relationship after getting out of that toxic relationship. And to be honest, I have felt guilty when I got out of a relationship with my ex, and to be honest, I would just text him I'm done, and I will block him because I low-key just didn't want to hear from him. And I did feel guilt in some ways, but then I realized that it's just me, and I gotta focus with me. He didn't love me for me, and one day someone will love me for me. Another way or sign that you can know when it's time to leave is that you will start feeling anxious, and you will actually start seeing your life without them. So that's what you like. When I mean seeing your life without them, you're going to think, oh, how my life is going to be out without so and so in my life. Am I going to be happy because he's not in my life no more, because I'm not feeling this sadness in me, because he's making me cry, he's making me hate myself. And a lot of times in toxic relationships, they can make you hate yourself, they can make you cry and all of that. So you're going to start thinking about your life without them, and you're going to start feeling anxious without them as well. And that is okay. And when you know when it's time to leave, you do start thinking a life without them. What they do say, I was gonna say what they don't say, but what they do say is that with women, not men, but with women, when they start thinking about a life without the partner who is toxic to them or abusive with them, they will start that immediately while they're in a relationship with them. So if you're in a toxic relationship and you are now starting what will your life be without your toxic partner, that is a sign that you are ready to leave this relationship. And if you are so scared to tell them I am done, please let someone know, especially if you're in a toxic abusive relationship, please let someone know before you break that with them, because you never know what can happen. A lot of people are very possessive with their partners and be like, you can't leave me, I own you, and if you leave me I'm going to kill myself. And it's so sad that people are like that. So if you're in a toxic relationship and your partner is like that, please let someone know before you end things with them, just for your own safety, and do it. And if you have pepper spray, if your state lets you carry a concealed handgun, and if you carry a taser, please do before breaking things with this person. And please bring one of those items, because if they try to hurt you, you have something with you that you can use. Okay, so now the last key point is knowing the signs. Now, wow, this right here would mostly definitely tell you that your relationship is going to end soon and that it's going downhill. So a lot of signs that you can see in your relationship within yourself or within your partner or between both of y'all is, like I said, if you're in a toxic relationship and you notice that yourself is crying a lot, you cannot really talk about good things about your partner, you only think about you without this person. Those 3 are signs. If your partner and you are not being intimate with each other, affectionate with each other, I was going with this person, but if y'all not affectionate, intimate, y'all not really having those conversations like how was your day, this and that, checking up on each other, then that means that your relationship is about to end, and it's about to be over. Another thing is that if your partner is not really happy when they see you, or they're just always putting you down, that means that your relationship is going downhill. Now, if you're in a toxic relationship, just know it's not your fault. I feel like a lot of people, when they're in a relationship, especially a toxic relationship, they blame themselves. That's what I did when I was with my ex. I would blame myself for him getting mad because I probably asked a simple question and he got mad, but it was never my fault. Please do not blame yourself if your partner gets mad, because it's never ever your fault. It's their fault. They cannot control their emotions, and that is not on you. That's on them. They probably are dealing with a lot of shit, or they have saw some male figure in their life who treated women so badly to the point that they have to treat their partners badly, or their mothers or aunts or grandmothers didn't treat them right to the point they have to treat every woman, I would say, not women, because every, you know, unless you're in like a poly relationship, but every woman in their life badly. That's how my sperm donor was. He treated my mom badly because his mother wasn't really in his life, treated him badly, and not just my mom, but he treated me badly. Just every like woman or female, I would say, that came in his life, so that includes daughters, so badly because of his mother. And sometimes guys do go through that trauma and they can't trust women. So it's never your fault. Do not blame yourself on why you are pissing him off, because it's something that he can't help, and he's not getting the help that he deserves or that he needs. But that is it for today's episode. But if you are in a toxic relationship, please get out of it. It will be so bad for your mental health, and I don't want y'all to go all crazy and let your mental health go downhill because of your toxic partner. If you need to go tell someone, get a therapist or tell a close friend or a close family member. And it's okay to leave when you want to leave. Do not wait until that person is done with you. You need to leave when it's your time to leave. So when you see these signs and you want to leave, just leave. And you cannot, it's going to hurt and you're going to feel some type of way after leaving him, but you're going to also feel relief. So yeah, but I really do hope that you like this episode of You Against You podcast. I hope that this episode helps someone out there. And just like I said, I've been in a toxic relationship. It's not the best. Like I said, I cried myself to sleep. And I really hope that you're not doing that. And if you are in a relationship and you see yourself crying yourself to sleep because the person is toxic, please leave it. But I really do hope that you like this episode. Go follow us on Instagram at You Against You Pod by Deja, and it will be here on the screen if you are but watching this on YouTube. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it will be in the show notes down below. But go follow us on there for any inspirations, quotes or posts or any type of news, like when we're having guests and this and that. I'm probably going to start, I want to start like chatting in my group chat that I have for this podcast. So if you want to add yourself, I want more people to be added. That will be in the description box / show notes. So go add yourself, because I would love to start chatting with my listeners. And remember, it will always be you against you. And I love you guys. Bye. Thanks for listening. And remember, if you're in a toxic relationship, you can get out. Just put just put you first and your mental health first as well. But love you.